Yeah, I'm gonna ask him again though, just real quick.
Okay.
Um, where do you purchase the seafood on your menu?
Most of the seafood on our menu that we purchase comes from either local fishermen or from local vendors that work alongside the local fishermen in the area. The ones that we do use would be either United or Mattis, which is they're all on the Eastern Shore area or in Baltimore area. But a lot of stuff that they get comes from local fishermen.
Anything else for you today?
Are local items important to you?
They're definitely important to me. Local items, the more that we can go ahead and purchase local item instead of getting it from another market, I believe helps the area around here, helps us support the local business around here, especially local fishermen. So anytime we can go ahead and purchase locally, we try to do so. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen like that all the time. Sometimes because of the seasons, we have to get it from another area. But most of the time, we try to go ahead and, if we can, get it from here.
Are you worried about seafood fraud?
Seafood what?
Fraud?
Fried? Am I worried about seafood fried? Not really, no. We actually do a lot of fried seafood. You're talking about fried seafood?
No, seafood fraud, like mislabeling.
Oh, fraud. Oh, okay.
Are you worried about it?
A little bit, yes. I've been in the business long enough to know whenever, say, we get scallops, or we get salmon, or if we get flounder, or whatever we end up getting, I know exactly what comes in. And fortunately, the people that I get my seafood through, a lot of the stuff that comes in fresh, I know it is what it is supposed to be. And the stuff that comes from my vendors, I trust my vendors enough to know that if I order it, I know that's exactly what it is. I think you'll get more of that in the supermarkets, or you'll get more mislabeling in sushi and stuff like that. But when you come to a fish market like ourselves, or pretty much a lot of the other fish markets, what you order is what you usually end up getting, because they come straight from the source. There's very little middlemen. Even our own vendors, like I said, like United or Mattis, I trust in them, and they're very high quality people, so they only get it from very approved sources.
Why is seafood fraud an issue in the industry? I guess you've kind of spoken on who does it, but why do you think it goes on?
I think anything to go ahead and when you cut corners, you can cut costs, cut expenses. I believe that's the main drive for people to do that. Usually, unfortunately, cutting quality, I feel, is not the best way to help cut costs. Especially when you get into bigger organizations. Like I think a lot of the frozen seafood, that's the stuff that you have to be careful of being fraud. But as long as you get it fresh, a lot of times, and you know you get it right from the source, you're okay with it. But I think the fraudulent seafood that comes in is, like I said, mostly with bigger companies, and it's more, I think, with processed seafood. I think processed seafood is what is 9 out of 10 times that if it's fraud, it's going to be processed seafood. So, and ourselves and I'm guessing other carry-out or local seafood eateries, we try to go ahead and even the stuff that we do fry, like say for a sandwich or stuff that we make up, is all fresh. We actually make it here. We bread it ourselves. We go ahead and make it up ourselves from scratch, from that fresh seafood. Because I do know, especially when it comes to frozen fish, you gotta be careful, because a lot of times you'll get fish that isn't caught locally. It'll be caught usually in Europe or in Asia, or it'll be caught in Europe and then shipped to Asia and packed there, and then eventually shows up here. So a lot of that, I think, is when it comes to processed seafood. So.
What should customers do to protect themselves against seafood fraud?
A lot of our customers, they ask you a lot of questions. You know, they really make sure they know what they're getting, which is, I think, living on the Eastern Shore, people here have a little bit more knowledge when it comes to seafood, so they don't they're a little bit more savvy when it comes to seafood, which helps. They know that if you have something out here, you know it has to be quality because they'll find out. I think if you were living maybe in Utah or maybe in the middle part of the country, I think maybe people might not know so much about seafood. But around here, I feel like it's a little tougher for people to try to go ahead and push something and try to say it's something else.
How many species of fish do you sell, and how often does the menu change?
Usually, our menu always kind of stays the same for the cooked food. Most of the stuff we do, I'd say probably 60% of our business is probably crabs. But we do have a nice selection of raw fish, and that kind of changes depending on the season. Like this time of year, we're not quite as busy. Kind of a shoulder season. Even though in Salisbury, you kind of have more people here all the time, where I have another place in Ocean City where it's just summertime, not so much at all in the wintertime. But here, because of January and February and March, it's not quite as busy, so we don't try to carry as much fish. We just carry what people usually around here ask for. Usually the more popular fish around here is salmon, even though it's not local, but salmon, sea trout, rockfish, flounder, catfish, and cod. We always carry those, but then we also go ahead and try tilapia. We'll go ahead and carry every now and then. We'll go ahead and tuna when it's in season. Usually in the summertime too. Summertime we'll carry more stuff. We'll carry rainbow trout. We'll carry different types of things. And usually too, if we don't have anything in, if a customer wants it and if it's in season, we'll try to get it in. But I'd say on hand we always carry about a half a dozen types of fish. In the summertime we might carry like 9 or 10.
Are there places you won't buy seafood from?
I know there was times with the Gulf, because we also have a lot of shrimp that we sell. There have been times where I've had questions with getting shrimp out of the Gulf and getting crabs out of the Gulf, where I was rarely particular about where I got my shrimp from. As far as fish, usually we get it locally, so I don't worry that much about it. But I don't like getting anything when it comes to crab meat, because sometimes in the wintertime it's hard to get fresh crab meat in. So you'll get crab meat from usually down the Gulf if they have it. But I hate to get crab meat from like Indonesia or places like that, because I tend to find the quality is not as good. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not the same as Maryland crab meat. And you can pass off domestic crab meat, say if it's from Georgia or Carolinas or Virginia, because that won't vary that much. But if you try to go ahead and get crab meat from Asia, when you're talking about a totally different type of crab, then you can tell the difference. So usually I try to go domestic. I try to go here on the Eastern Shore or around Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, or in the Carolinas. I try to keep it close by. If not, say for example salmon, we'll get it from other places. Like I'll get it from Chile because I know it's really good salmon from there. But usually I have to already know about this type of fish well enough to be confident enough to buy it from a source that I'm not really familiar with.
Do you have a preference for farmed or wild seafood?
I have a little bit more preference for wild, only because our customer base likes more wild, so I always try to go wild. I do know that a lot of times though, the farm raised, there's a very, very minute difference to it, I believe. So I don't think, I'm more favorite for farm raised myself, but unfortunately because the customers, they want the wild caught, I tend to buy more of that. But if I could, hopefully it's something that we're in the next 10 years, with conservancy and people thinking more about the environment, they'll try to go more towards farm raised, and they'll try to change their own view. But if I could, I would go ahead and just always buy farm raised. But like I said, unfortunately, because of the market, there's more demand for wild caught.
What information do you make available to your customers about the fish you sell?
Usually, obviously, where it's caught from, when it's caught. We usually have, when it comes in, I think usually it has about a 2 days in between period when it's caught to when it gets to our showcase. And then we give it another 3 to 4 days. Usually I give anywhere from 5 to 7 days altogether, from the 2 days of when before it hits our shelves to when we have it, is when we like to go ahead and sell it. After that, we either go ahead and get rid of it or we incorporate it in other ways to try to go ahead and use it up. But usually when it comes to trying to let the buyer know what they're getting, we give them, when they ask questions, we try to know as much as we can about the product, like I said, where it comes from, when it came in, and just try to help their overall experience with purchasing the fish and enjoying the seafood, especially from around here.
Well, just one last question, and you may have probably already answered it a little bit, but I'm just going to ask. What information does your supplier provide to ensure your seafood's origin?
Usually, if it comes right from the fishermen, like a lot of times it's the crabs, oysters, other shellfish, we'll know it's coming right from the source. So one thing they have in our industry is they usually have tags. The government, you have to tag, especially when it comes to like for fish, with rockfish and other types of fish. If you can only catch a certain amount, you have to have them tagged, and you have to know exactly where they're coming from. Same with oysters and other shellfish. But through our vendors, United and Mattis, they always do a really good job of telling us exactly where it's coming from, and they'll actually give us pointers on what's in season, what's the best stuff is coming out in the next few weeks, and then we can go ahead and take that information and pass it on to our customers.
Is there anything else you would like to add or say that I may have not asked, may not have gotten to, that you think is an important issue?
No, I think not off the top of my head, no. So, but very good questions though. Very good.
Thank you. Thanks for the
Thank
interview.
you.
Yep.
You good?
We're good.